and, of course, former San Francisco 49er and NBC Sports Bay Area. Donte, we appreciate it. Where would you rank that win yesterday for Kyle Shanahan and the San Francisco 49ers?
I would rank it up there. I think I would rank it up there with the NFC Championship win over the Green Bay Packers. It was a must-win. This team that battle-tested. You don't want to miss the playoffs 2 consecutive years, put that much pressure on yourself. The players fought through all season, and yesterday was indicative of their mindset and the way that they've been grinding at it all year. They haven't played the best of football, but when they have played, they can beat anybody in the league. And they let games go early. They lost 2 to the Seattle Seahawks they felt like they should have won. They lost to the Green Bay Packers. They left too much time on the clock. They lost to Kurt McCoy, led Arizona Cardinals. So the 49ers, they beat some good teams, but they've also lost to some teams that they felt like they could have beat. So yesterday was indicative of all the work they put in, the ups and the downs, and they're a dangerous playoff team.
Donte, you talk about former great 49er wins. It kind of reminds me, the stakes were a little higher, that it was a trip to the Super Bowl on the line, but you know this all too well. It reminds me of going down to Atlanta in the NFC Championship game, down 17-0. Matt Ryan, like there were moments when you guys were exactly where you're supposed to be on the defensive end, and he was putting it on Julio's hands. He couldn't have walked it up to him any better. And we saw some of that yesterday from Matthew Stafford. Talk about what goes on in that situation and what might have been going on in those defensive huddles on the sideline and stuff. They say, look, we're down 17-0, but if we get a stop here, we give our offense a chance, things of that nature. What goes on in those moments when you got to battle back as a unit?
Well, it's going to sound like coaches talk, but you got to focus in each and every play. Every guy has to focus in on the details, whether it's your angles in the running game, your leverage, being in the right running gap, communication, overly communicating, pursuit angles, tackling, fundamentals. That's what it boils down to. And the fundamentals lacked in the first half. And then it talks about attitude. In the first half, the Los Angeles Rams defense was taking it to the 49ers offense, and in particular the offensive line. They put an emphasis on stopping the run. They put an emphasis on setting the edge in the cutback lanes, and guys were where they were supposed to be. So it always takes that edge. You can't ease into a football game. And then going back to that 2012, they had the perfect storm. They had a big running back. They had Julio Jones in his prime. They had Matt Ryan in his prime, Roddy White, Tony Gonzalez. Offensive line was healthy and performing well. It was tough for us. And we got behind early, but we told ourselves on the sideline, man, let's just take it one play at a time. Let's just do what we do in practice. We got some tip balls. Some things went our way. And then it came down to Navarro Bowman, linebacker, being one-on-one with Roddy White, fourth down, coming through, making the play, taking the hard down. And the similarities between that team when we were coached by Harbaugh and this team that's coached by Shanahan. These guys never give up. They have a brand of football that a lot of teams aren't willing to match or exceed. And that's that physical, hard-nosed, run you over, through your face mask type of game. And again, this is why they're going to be dangerous in the playoffs.
Donte, you at all surprised with how this defense played, not just yesterday, but how they played really through this second half of the season?
No, I'm not surprised. Going into the season, they knew that the strength of their team was going to be the defensive line. You had Nick Bosa coming off an ACL injury. He had to work himself into shape. This game is endurance, just beating you, just attacking you over and over and over, wearing you down. He gets your sacks in the third and the fourth quarter. This is why half of his sack total comes in the fourth and overtime. Big moments in the game. And you had Arden Key, who was transitioning over from the Raiders. He had to figure out what his skill set was going to be with this team. Eric Armstead, are you going to play outside, inside? I think they're getting into a groove where they understand their rotation up front now, and they understand what they're asked to do. Taking 2 in the run game is why you see Fred Warner running clean now. You don't see a lot of offensive linemen getting up on him, which is why a guy like Marcel Harris, an undersized guy, can play linebackers because the defensive line is performing well. It's the reason why Ambry Thomas and those guys can play one-on-one sometimes, is because the pressure is consistent and they have to get that ball out quick. They know that they're coming. I think they're like 4th in the league in sacks. So it doesn't surprise me that this defense is playing well. It was all predicated on how the defensive line performed, and as they go, the defense will go. And yesterday, the Tennessee Titans game, first and second down, this run defense is just phenomenal. So if you can play good run defense, you can get them in third and long, that's a winning formula. So it doesn't really surprise me. They're just heating up at the right time.
Donte, this might have been something that just stood out because the TV cameras were there, But do you think that anybody on that 49ers sideline saw Sean McVay after that second Higbee touchdown run into the end zone and high five? And if they did see it, do you think that kind of woke those guys up? Because I'll tell you this, it woke me up in my living room. I'm like, get your ass back to the sidelines. What are you doing in the end zone? You think any of them saw that and kind of got turned up a little bit after that?
Yeah, players and coaches, they take any little slight as motivation. And for McVay to vacate where he's supposed to be on the sideline, I think that's the first time I ever saw a head coach do that. I don't think I ever saw a head coach celebrate with his team in the end zone. And that's basically saying, we're up 17-0. There's no way that you're going to come back and beat us. We're just going to put it in your face now. And they took that as a slight. And this is why you don't do those type of things until there's zeros on the clock. He regrets doing that now. He lost 6 in a row to him, and you definitely don't want to see him again in the playoffs.
Donte, hey, you spent so much time in those defensive meeting rooms going over game plans. If you were game planning for Deebo Samuel, what are you guys talking about?
Well, that they're going to move him around a variety of different spots. You can't really label him a wide receiver. You can't label him a running back. You can't really match him with a linebacker. So you have to have a special type of hybrid guy that can follow him around when he's on the interior. Number 3 wide receiver in the backfield. Number 2, you have to have nickel backs that can contend with his physicality. And then on the outside, you have to have corners that can, deal with the deep ball and him just beating you up. But then you have to have guys that can tackle. So, your defensive philosophy is all predicated on the type of guys you have on defense, because you're not going to stop Deebo Samuel if you don't have just naturally tough guys, right? Guys with tough backgrounds that like to play that gritty, down and dirty physical game. And that's what Deebo brings. There's not a lot of guys in the league individually that can match that type of physicality. And that's why he's taking chains and he's taking bikes and he's named Deebo.
100%. Donte, I know it's early and you're going to dive into this as the week goes along, but my initial thought about this Cowboys game is I respect what the Cowboys bring to the table. They've got playmakers on the defensive end. They got playmakers on the offensive end. It's not going to be any bit of a cakewalk going in there. But I don't know, Donte. I feel like the Niners, this is a good matchup for them. And I think they should be super confident going into Jerry's world and what they could possibly do in a matchup for them. I'll put it this way. I don't know if the Cowboys wanted this matchup.
No, the Cowboys definitely didn't want this matchup. When you hear the myths and whispers and about Kyle Shanahan's offense and how difficult it is on defensive players, not alone just the system, but just individually, how it's predicated on deceiving individual players, getting their eyes in the wrong spot and taking advantage of looks that all look the same. It's not enough days to practice on a team like this or for a Kyle Shanahan offense, because there's so many variations and motions and shifts and, so much communication that goes into that from the defensive side of the ball. So if you don't have one guy that's locked in with the over communication, then somebody's going to end up free. And then the different variations and runs after the shift motions and aligning Jeff Wilson and Juszczyk and George Kittle and a motion before the shift of the ball, it's difficult for edge defenders to understand how to block that or take those blocks on the run, the cut back lanes, guys not staying square, getting penetration. It's tough to stop this team. And then then you try to play zone coverage and they hit you with the RPO game. And now you got Brandon Ayuk playing well with confidence. And Deebo Samuel, you got a screen here. You got a triple screen. George Kittle over the middle. It's so much for defenses to have to prepare for in just a short amount of days. That's why teams in the division have more success versus the 49ers than outside the division teams, just because there's so much variation. And then the defense for the 49ers, whenever you can get pass rush with your front four and you're 4th and 3rd in the league in sacks, and your guys can just play zone defense and tackle, teams don't want to see that. They want to go over the top. They want to beat you over the top. They don't want to have to dink and dunk. They don't believe that they can go 8, 10, 12 plays. So the 49ers are set up for success. I think I'm giving them a 2-touchdown advantage over that.
Oh, let's go. Let's go. Stop playing with these boys, Donte. Okay. Stop playing with them. And Rick, real quick, Donte, I got to say this before we let you go. I can't necessarily say it with my chest the way I wanted to after what happened in the Orange Bowl. But remember, I did say when your boys came to Ann Arbor what was going to happen. I'm just reminding you.
Yeah, you know, every dog has his day. I guess you deserve one win in a decade. You guys should be proud of that, but you will not get another one for another 10 years.
No, we coming to the horseshoe next year, baby.
Listen, Harbaugh's about to leave and is back to the dumps. You know that.
Oh my gosh.
Pride of
Harbaugh's about to leave. Back to the dumps.
the Ohio State, our man Donte Whitner. Donte, thanks for always making time
You're the
for us,
man,
man. We
Donte.
appreciate it.
All right, man. Thanks, man. Happy New Year, guys.
Thank you.